new ritual after every dyno pull, which is happening outdoors right here. I like to go in the office and see how many lights we've shaken out of the ceiling. Oh yeah, they're all loose.
One.
The one above Pete's gonna fall.
That was just barely hanging there.
That is OSHA approved illumination.
Good stuff. Don't worry.
Yeah, Pete, your interior illumination game is on point. My goodness. This time on Finnegan's Garage, we are back at Harrell Engine and Dyno in Mooresville, North Carolina to find out where did our missing power go. You remember from the last video on this car, we replaced the clutch, we narrowed the rear end. We no longer have a bunch of excuses for why it's not making power, but we have a bunch of parts we can test this time to go around to see, are we down on power? Are we not down on power? Can we get some more? I'm greedy, drag week's coming. Are we going to drag week, not going to drag week? I don't know. We'll answer all those questions in this video.
We have made it to Biggins' shop. Looks like they started to take the drive shaft out.
Oh, they started to put it in.
One of the two.
Hopefully it's the first one. It's
Before we
pretty
had a
level.
lift.
So this end is screwed up too.
Yep.
I walked you up a couple of each.
It was just turning.
Wow.
Yeah, see it wiggling?
Mm-hmm. So it's just not a tight fit?
Yeah, it's just, they're supposed to be tight. You're supposed to be able to just tap them in, press fit.
Right.
And then basically your clips are just keep it retained.
This end's probably screwed up from when it blew a cap off on the highway at drag week,
Yeah.
and then we had to get in there with a grinder and clean it up because it got all nicked up.
Yeah.
But that end being loose, that end we never touched.
Yeah, it's going to definitely need 2 tube yokes. I don't know. Somebody's messed with this end before.
It got shortened. It was made and it had a 5-speed, then I went to a 6-speed and it got shortened.
Gotcha.
And so if it needs whatever it needs, just, yeah.
Looks like they're welded on top of a weld there. It's kind of a big no-no.
Yeah, I'd like to not have it blow apart while I'm drag racing
No
it.
doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, man, no problem.
So we were just sitting here debating what we wanted to do. He's like, what do you want to work on? I'm like, well, we'll just stick around with whatever we need to. If the drive shaft shows up, maybe we'll dyno it tonight. If not, we'll run it tomorrow, and bang,
Yeah,
Chris shows up with a brand new one.
Yep.
Oh, dude.
How you like that?
So we went 3-inch on it, give you a little bit more clearance, less rotating mass.
Thank you.
So it's 83 wall DOM stuff now, so
Okay.
don't worry about it.
Nice.
Chromoly yoke.
Yes.
Let's see if she fits.
All right, let's go back up.
There's your other one there.
Let's compare and contrast.
Yeah, we'll let it hang around.
All right, so this is 3.5 OD with a cast yoke. That apparently the clearances between the cap and the yoke bore are not great because the cap's spinning.
Yep.
And if the cap's spinning, then the needles aren't really rotating the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, you got no needle movement on the trunnion there where it's supposed to be.
Right.
It's not actually working as a U-joint, it's just kind of hanging out.
Right. And that one had been cut and welded at least twice. And so yeah. Now we have a chromoly yoke.
Yep.
New U-joints, new tube, smaller diameter.
Yep.
Oh, good. Car's getting lighter.
Car's getting lighter.
Yes.
Yep.
I love that. Wow, let's
Beat that, right?
No, dude. You just made my whole day.
Lighter's faster.
Lighter's faster. All right, let's go see if it fits. This is great.
Time's gonna pull caps.
Part Part of the reason we changed this was it also twisted the splines, and our drive shaft wouldn't go all the way in.
Yeah.
Which was
Not happy.
scary.
I wonder if it was twisted the last time you and Tony had to take it out, because you guys had to jack the car up to even get the drive shaft in.
My guess is it's been that way a while.
Wow.
Yeah, because the other, if you let the rear end droop before, we couldn't get the other drive shaft in. In fact, I know it was because it wasn't in as far as this one is now. Like it was out pretty far because it was twisted and it wouldn't let it go in. Yeah, that drive shaft was gonna ejecto-cedo cuz any moment.
Yeah, he's gonna tear something up. I like this fitment a lot better with this drive shaft loop too.
Yeah, it was a little tight before.
Yeah.
It's not really the straightest drive shaft loop.
That was a late night MIG welding. This is the kit I had.
Yeah, we're gonna put it on.
Put it on. It's legal. That's what I know.
That's all that matters. Tight fit.
What's the rule of thumb on tightening these?
Well, you can't go too much. I normally kind of get them good and snug, and I'll give them one more just.
One more ooga dooga?
Yep.
Maybe a Uga.
Just
Skip the Duga.
not a dooga?
Yeah, Uga be good, but the Dugga may do it.
Too much. Yeah. That's for you guys in Australia.
Yeah.
Too many Uggas. Not enough Duggas.
Yeah, not enough Duggas. Try to pull this way a little straight too. Figure you'd be playing with the boat.
I got an itch to go do hot rod drag meet.
I hear you.
And I don't know if this car wants to go to hot rod drag meet, but we're going to find out here shortly.
We're gonna give her a go, huh?
Yeah. If it plays nice, then we'll go. If it doesn't play nice, we'll keep working on it and maybe next year.
All right, we're there on this side. Go dyno.
That's definitely the fastest drive shaft service I've ever dealt with.
Dude, I've like my local guy is cool. Like I'll drop it off, and before I got home, he's called me.
Yeah.
This was faster.
Really?
Yeah, and you had to go get a yoke for it. You didn't even have the
did.
yoke. Like this was.
I had to drop 20 minutes to get a yoke.
What's the name of your shop?
Frampton Performance and Fab.
One more time.
Frampton Performance and Fab.
In Mooresville. You're in Mooresville, right?
Mooresville, Kannapolis.
Mooresville, Kannapolis.
I'm like 10 minutes from here.
Dude, thanks, Chris.
You're welcome. Appreciate you. Yeah, man.
I don't think there's any teeth on there.
I see a scratch mark.
About all it's done.
Oh, I see sparks. It ain't helping.
Nope. Let me see if we got another one in here.
Yeah, you need a new blade. You did a good job of marking it where you want to cut it.
Yeah. About all I did.
That's how every video should start out. Sparks. Maybe we've worn out our welcome. We're now working in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Nah.
When you get, an avalanche takes priority over Blasphemi, you must not be a very good customer anymore.
Wait. That avalanche has a DOD problem and wiped out a cam. I mean, how many people out there know that pain? A lot of them. Not everybody needs to cut their parachute with a Sawzall.
What is this made out of?
Is that Harbor Freight? Not that there's anything wrong with that. Hold this head. That's doing nothing.
I'm a quarter of the way through.
All right, get half
We got
and then
this.
we'll just snap it in half. You got to respect the commitment. I do. I do. I gotta let go. Ah! Oh my God, dude. I now have two strangers. Jesus. Wow. We could just go inside and get a death wish. I mean,
I didn't see one over there. I'm just kidding. I'm using the wrong side of the blade.
Still going, huh? Are you running that thing in reverse? Jesus.
Right.
I'm just gonna stop rolling. We're gonna be here for 3 hours. It's like watching a train wreck. I can't stop. I cannot stop. Yes, I can. We could have chewed through that faster.
Now we need a file. That is.
Hey, at least now.
So here's the thing.
At least now
we shortened this so it wouldn't keep jabbing us. Now we've just created a knife, a bloody knife.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least now we won't get stabbed every time we got to put fuel in the tank, but now we are gonna get stabbed.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Do you want to save this?
Sure.
Apparently it's pretty strong.
Yeah, I mean that's unobtainium. We could probably make a weapon out of that later. Sad thing is that rod's made of aluminum. Here we go.
I would like black smoke, black smoke, black smoke
Yeah?
out of this side.
Some of that's probably just plugs and sitting a little bit. It puffed a little bit over there, but like it cleared up. You know.
Yeah, when it sits, this side smokes every time you fire it up and then it goes away. Like I think one of the spark plugs tubes is probably leaking.
It's a little bit in.
But now we're down, like our last pull was like 950.
Well, let's look at the data first. Let's just see.
Okay.
Make sure we're
Not what we wanted, but that's why we're here. Find out what's going on before you go to an event. It was warmer than it has been. Like that was 187 degrees, which I thought was weird. It got warm quickly.
For whatever reason, it's pulling a ton of fuel out, and it's still rich. Like crazy. I mean, our target's 6.5 right here, and we're 6.4, 6.2, 6.1. You know, we're under the target.
Right.
And it's pulling 20+%.
Look at that, the boost was steady that time.
Yeah, and it made 16, 17 pounds.
I don't know how to feel about that. That went weird. It only made 860 horsepower, which is, you know, 100 less than we made the last time, which was 100 less than the car should be making. And the last time we were here, it would make like 16 pounds of boost at the beginning of a pull, and then it would drop down to almost 14. This time it made 17 and held 16 throughout the whole pull. I have no explanation for that. The only thing that changed on this car between the last time and this time was the drive shaft. So, and the rear end got narrowed. So Pete's trimming some fuel out of it right now because the ECU is correcting and pulling a lot of fuel right now. We don't know why, and I don't know. We'll try again.
Here in our data, our timing's just low the whole way. And I think what's going on is we're up here in our super hot air temp kind of safety deal, and it's pulling 4 or 5 degrees out up top. So that's probably a large part of what we just saw.
Okay. I almost think we need to put the other blower pulley back on because we're just spinning the blower way too fast.
It may not be helping anything, you know.
Okay.
We start there, you know.
Yep. All right, I'll put the other blower pulley back on. Yeah, so this pulley in Vegas made almost 18 pounds of boost, but it didn't go any faster because we deduced it made hot air. The pulley that we've gone quickest with is the 48, which is not what's on there. We stuck the 44 on there, the 45 on there last time at the end, trying to, Hail Mary this thing. So we're changing pulleys because our air inlet temp is way too high and it's pulling timing. And when we were changing pulleys, I noticed the belt's coming apart. So everything's happening for a reason. She needs a new belt and a different pulley. And our mobile workstation table here is perfect for that sort of thing. There should be more belts. Like there's one right there. There should be 2 of them over there.
There's 2.
Okay. I'm gonna grab another pulley.
Hey, Thailand. You shopping for blower belts on eBay?
I couldn't even tell you where those came from. I've had those. I've had those things so long. No, that's too big. There we go. There's the party pulley. This is dyno pull number 2. We just changed spark plugs. We just changed blower pulley. Went from a 44 tooth to a 48 tooth because the blower was spinning so fast. It was just making hot air, and the ECU was pulling out timing because of all the hot air. So it should make more power right now. How was that?
948.
948?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Picked up a lot.
We're much better than we were.
Right.
All right, we're on the right track. Yes! I have hope. Woo! From over here, my blind eyes, I saw 909. I was like, uh-oh.
There's 909 right here. Max was 948.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're back where we were with a bigger pulley. That's good news. Nice. We're on the right track. That pull started at like 150 degrees. The first one, it was weird. As I was cruising, it just kept getting hotter and hotter. And it was 187, I think, when I started the pull. Much better. So we changed spark plugs, which didn't do much other than we're starting fresh with a set we can read. But more importantly, we took the 44 tooth pulley off the blower and put a 48 tooth. Now the smaller pulley spins the blower faster, should make more power, except We are overdriving this 871 blower shop blower so much right now that we're to the point where it's just creating hot air. We made more power slowing the blower down than we were earlier. And for those of you at home, this is our 51st pull on this motor.
51st?
Yeah. But that's a combination of, we're now on our third dyno session though. You know, it's not like we made 51 pulls today, it's just what's happened. And we've only put one piston in it.
That's got the boost way down.
The boost is way down?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
14 on the hit, and then 13, 12, 9 out back.
Okay. So we lost 3 pounds of boost, basically, changing the pulley.
Closer to 4.
Closer to 4, but I bet the air inlet temp is much happier now.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
What's the start of the run at? 240. So it is going down during the run. So the ethanol is working. All right. 220 is still a lot. God, if we could get it down to 130, imagine how much power it would make. What if we sprinkle a little straight M1 in there in the tank? Like, what happens then? Just a little something, you know?
It's still pulling a lot of fuel up top. 15%.
You want
It's
it?
not as bad through the middle as it was. It's still good in here. I might just go ahead and pull up some out of the map
Okay.
just to clean that up.
After you do that, do you want to go again or try a part
I would say try a part.
air filter?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so Pete is about to trim our fuel map just a little bit because it is in closed loop mode, so it is trying to correct. So we have a target air fuel ratio of, what are we,
6.5.
We're targeting 6.5 to 1 air fuel ratio on ethanol-based fuel. And the ECU is trimming fuel live as we're making the pull. So he's gonna take some out of the base map so that it's not trying to correct as much. And we're not gonna try to back that pull up. We're just gonna go to changing parts. Years ago, the folks at Walker Performance Filtration, who I met at the PRI show, custom made me this air filter for Blasphemi. And I chassis dynoed it once and it did pick up power. I never got to back that pull up, but ever since then, I've been driving on the street with this and then taking it off the track, not knowing what it was gonna do to my tune. We have a little time now, so we're actually gonna bolt this on and see, does this help? It's not a true A/B test because he is trimming the fuel map just a little bit, but in theory, because it's running in closed loop, that shouldn't change the power that much. So if we do see a significant change, it should be from the air filter. All right, next mod. Walker Performance Filtration air filter. I believe this has a better transition into the throttle body. And even though, you know, any filter is gonna have to restrict a little bit, this is better than what I had on there, which was just those steel air bells that were only an inch tall. All right, let's go again. All right, we've made two dyno pulls and we've driven from Customs by Biggin to Harrell Engine and Dyno, which is, you know, 600 feet. Probably needs fuel. Yep, we need fuel. Yep, we need fuel. That funnel is custom cracked for max flow. That is 112 octane racing E85. No pressure, but it's all electronics all around you, so don't spill. Ah, look at you, Mr. Cruz. Hey, bartender.
Pour me another.
Yeah, dude.
Would you like some corn syrup with that?
I wonder how much we went through. I say we went through 2 gallons.
For the warm up and 2 pulls?
Plus driving from one shop to the other.
Oh, that's true.
Man, that was like at least 600 feet.
Oh. Sorry, Charlie.
All right, we'll come back tomorrow. This is my have to explain what happened twice face, my dead battery face, my we might be on the right track to making more power face. I don't know, we'll find out. A lot of ups, a lot of downs today. Came to Mooresville. We put a new drive shaft in the car, which is awesome. And Chris got that done in record time. Strapped it down to the dyno and it made 870-ish horsepower, the least I've ever made with this car, even though we changed nothing but put a drive shaft in it. And it turned out that we were overdriving the blower so much and it was making so much hot air that even with ethanol-based fuel, our air inlet temp was 270 degrees. So the ECU was trying to protect the motor. It pulled a bunch of timing. We did not make a bunch of power. So pull number 2, put a bigger blower pulley on it, slowed the blower down and made more power. We're up to like 944, which is right about where we were the last time we were dyno testing here. And then I got the bright idea to take these little guys off the top of the throttle body for a couple of reasons. They're really short. They don't exactly sit flat on the throttle body, so I believe it's pulling air in from the sides and from here, and it's just not a great transition for flow. Bolted that Walker Performance Filtration filter on there because in the past I did dyno it once and it seemed like it made power, but I just wasn't sure. And I usually just drive around on the street with that thing, but I thought, what the heck? I have nothing to lose at this point. Let's just bolt it on. So we bolted it on, went to fire the car up, and there was nothing because that lithium battery was down to 6 volts. How does it go from 13 to 6 in minutes? I have no idea. But it's currently charging at 2 amps, and it will take all night to get that thing back to where it wants to start the car. So we'll come back tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll probably try a bigger throttle body, the original set of headers from last year, which are smaller. We're gonna try everything to try to get this thing back to making about 1,000 at the tires, which is where it needs to be competitive with all the other cool cars that are at drag and drive events like Sick Week, Hot Rod Drag Week, Southeast Street Meet, all the ones near me. So tomorrow, more wrenching, more dyno pulls. Right now we drink because I'm thirsty.
Start early.
Yeah, just as soon as we clean all the parts off the bed of the truck, because we can't exactly drive down the road like that or leave that in the hotel parking lot. It is day 2 and I am not yet sweaty. However, my battery is 90% good according to ye old Snap-on battery charger, and it has 13.1 volts. That tells you something, right? That battery is 13.1 volts, and according to Snap-on, it's only 90% good right now. That's because it's a lithium battery. If that was a lead acid battery, 13.1 volts, well, it wouldn't rest at that voltage, but that would be full. We're not even close to full. But we're getting there, and I believe that's enough to fire this thing off and for us to continue on with our test. Pete's here, and I think first test is just let it go again with the air filter. Obviously, this is not an A to B comparison because now the motor has cooled off. It's a different day. We're different men. You know, I like to feel like I'm better. I've educated myself by watching, I watched Street Outlaws last night.
Oh. It might not be a better day.
I learned some things. I didn't learn a lot, but I enjoyed myself, and that's all that matters, folks, because we're all gonna die. Might as well enjoy yourself by watching Street Outlaws and real good at doing stuff YouTube channel. See that segue? See that? All right, I'm gonna turn on the battery. First thing I'm gonna do is fire it up, run it through the gears till I hit 4th, which is 1-to-1 in this transmission, and then drive the car on the dyno. And I'm gonna do that for 2 things. I'm gonna warm up the rear end fluid, and I'm gonna get the water temp of the engine to approximately what it was yesterday when we made our last pull, which is about 155 degrees. And if I start the pull around 150, 155, it'll end at about 170. And that should mimic the conditions we had yesterday, other than the fact that the ambient temp is a little lower right now. So, but if there's any significant change with the air filter, you know, I won't completely attribute it to the air filter, but there's, you know, something there, I think, good or bad. Pete's looking at data. And I think we're just about ready to go. Biggins' dad just brought us some jerky. And he said, do you want the hot or the regular? And I said, well, give me the hot. It's hot. It's very hot. It kind of like, it's a slow burn. You know, you're eating it, you're like, this is pretty good. A lot of flavor. It's good. It won't stop. It just keeps getting hotter. Like, it's gone. I finished the jerky 2 minutes ago. It's still building fire in my face.
Is this your first Carolina Reaper experience, Mike?
This can't be a Reaper, because I've legit watched people just take a little bite of a little nugget of a Reaper and vomit. Like, this is not that. Because I'm not the spicy food guy. I'm not the guy that's like, yeah, I'll eat a Reaper. That guy is Chris Reed, who might be editing this video. Maybe not. I don't know. Oh, there we go. It just subsided. Now it's a slow burn now.
Yeah, it's just everywhere.
Yeah. It's not so much here. It's here. Good to go? Maybe it didn't like the air filter. We lost 21. Looks like we lost about 21 horsepower. And the engine I don't think was quite as warm as it was yesterday. I started that pull at about 145 degrees water temp. So the air filter, unless you see something in the data like the ECU's pulling timing again for some reason, it looks like the air filter might have been enough of a restriction to eat up some power. And if that's the case, maybe we ought to put the bigger throttle body on now and see what happens, but let's see what Pete says. Okay, we made a dyno pull, first one of the second day of our dyno test. We're down about, I think, 20 horsepower. And that could be from the air filter. What we want to do now is back that up by pulling the air filter off and the adapter, putting what we had on there before, which was just the sheet metal bell, and making another pull to see, do we get our 20 horsepower back? Pete's gonna go show you guys on the big screen what's happening during the pull. He's gonna show you ignition timing, air fuel, and you can basically look at the Holley and say, here's the data we have. This leads me to believe, you know, nothing changed other than we were down on like half a pound of boost, which could be from this. I don't know. We'll take it off. We'll find out. But Pete will give you a better explanation of that than I will.
So with the filter, we're just down a little bit of boost. If you grab any spot, like right here, we're down 0.6 of a pound. So just pretty much the whole way. The yellow line is boost, and the one we just made is the solid yellow, and it's just down a little bit. And that is corresponds with our little bit of power loss.
So thinking removing that filter, we'll be right back where we were yesterday?
I would assume so. Only one way to find out, but probably so, yeah.
And then the next move is change more parts?
Yeah, change more parts. Till we find parts that work.
We'll get it figured out.
Yeah.
So this, I believe, is great for going down the road and keeping the dirt out, but might be a restriction. If it repeats yesterday, that's good news. We'll see. Did we get get our half a pound of boost back and our 20 horsepower? That is the question. So yesterday at the end of the day with this exact combo, we made 944. Today we just made 950. That makes me feel really good because I genuinely believe, although we rebuilt this engine during drag week, everything's fine with it. 950 is not where we want to be, but it's repeating. So that's good news. We just learned that Walker Performance Filtration air filter does a great job of filtering out air. It seems to eat about half a pound of boost and about 20 horsepower, I'm guessing. So if we need to ever slow the car down, we just put that thing on there and we're dialed. Now, since clearly it doesn't want to be stricted on the inlet, I think we take the small throttle body off and put the big throttle body on, which is a bit of a process because it doesn't just bolt on. I wasn't here the last time it got tested, but I hear the throttle linkage takes some finessing, I guess. Yeah, so that's the next thing. We'll throw a time-lapse camera up here, we'll rip this off, get the new parts out, put it on there, and then we'll make another hit. By then, this will have cooled off. It's fuel, probably from like reversion. Like the fuel's injected down here on the rotor, and the rotor mixes it and pulls it down in, and so I think a lot of what we're seeing in there is fuel. And really the fuel being injected up here is so that the rotors get lubed. I love learning stuff, man. That was cool. We made a dyno pull this morning. It made like 921 with the air filter on. Pulled the air filter off. It just made 950, which is great. 950 is not where I want to be, but the engine is repeating. And we now know that air filter will eat up about a half a pound of boost and probably about 20 horsepower, somewhere in that area. So I'm calling that a restriction. My next question for this is my old Hillborn throttle body a restriction? And I can actually test that today because a while ago I sold a ramp truck to a dude named Phil Rohr. And this was my green 1969 C50 ramp truck. I don't know if you guys remember that thing. It's the one we put a blower on, the stock 454. I sold that thing to Phil, started following on Instagram, and quickly realized Phil is one of the best fabricators I've ever seen work in my life. And I've never met him in person. This is all based on what I'm seeing on the internet. But his attention to detail, his TIG welding, sheet metal bending, chassis building, it's out of this world. He's building a Nova gasser that is, well, it's the nicest Nova gasser. It's the nicest gasser. It's the nicest race car I've ever seen in my life. It's incredible. Anyway, long story short, Phil is going to do Hot Rod Drag Week someday. Phil wanted an injector for his personal project. So what did Phil do? He fired up the CNC machine and just started making his own throttle bodies that kind of look like an old school 4-port Hillborn, but way nicer. Now, as I understand it, Phil has revised this thing several times. This is a Gen 1 version of it. But this is real similar to what I have. You can just imagine what I have with this kind of air cleaner on top. It's a 4-port, except it's completely CNC'd and the bores are way bigger. So big that Phil, he warned everybody that got one of these. He said, drivability is probably not going to be amazing with those big old ports. So he machined these plugs with O-rings that you slam into, say, one of the 3 ports to cut down the CFM going to it. So when you're not at the drag strip, you can drive around and have, some smooth transitions, some drivability. I've never tried this, but the reason I'm really interested in this is not because it's shiny, but because Pete and Newbern and Biggin all bolted this thing onto this motor the day before it left for drag week last year. When I was filming Roadkill, they were here tuning this thing. And they said this on that motor made no difference in horsepower. They said it overlaid. It made the exact same number. And that to me was really interesting. I was not disappointed that it didn't make any power, because at that point I was sitting there thinking, do I have the wrong camshaft? Are my headers too small? Are we out of blower? These are all questions I had for them, none of which could be answered at the time. So a few months ago, StainlessHeaders.com built a bigger set of headers for this that are arguably too big. I don't know for sure, But what I do know is right now, this makes 950 at the tires. Last summer, it made over 1,000. We're down on power with these headers. Is it because now our throttle body is our restriction? I don't know, but we're gonna bolt this on and find out. This will bolt right on top of my Blower Shop 871. We're gonna have to make some adjustments to the linkage and the wiring to make it work, but this will answer the question. Do I have a restriction on the inlet side, on the outlet side, somewhere between? I don't know. My belief is that a 528 Hemi on E85 should make more than 950 at the tires, and it has before. We just need to figure out a way to make that much again. So take the air cleaner off, bolt this on, and then figure out, you know, it doesn't come with instructions, and I wasn't here the last time it was run, but the reason the car's got a giant scoop on it right now was to fit this thing. And yeah, we'll figure this out. First things first, air cleaner off. Oh wow, look at that. We just picked up on the button 30 horsepower. Okay.
Getting closer.
All right.
Okay, I want you to look up at the ceiling, Mike. Look what you've done for Pete's office.
I still see like...
Look at the rest of them.
Oh.
They're all hanging from the ceiling.
That's from the dyno?
Yeah.
Wow, at least you got air conditioning in here. I can see why when we set the TPS, you were in here and I was out in the car. Oh, so what can we learn? 30 ponies, but why? Where did we get 30 ponies from?
Pull the data here and we'll see.
Does it make more boost with less restriction? I love this part.
Yeah, it looks like it's up a little bit.
Can we overlay the one before with the old throttle body?
Oh yeah.
Wow, it's maintaining the boost.
So that's a whole, over at 1.3 pounds right there. It's holding it better. It's not falling off as much.
Wow, so it's like sucking through a straw with somebody squeezing the end of it.
Yeah, it's over a pound, 1.2 pounds right there.
So I thought we were out of supercharger, but...
Well, see, now the interesting thing would be, later on, maybe we'll put that pulley back on.
Yeah.
And see what happens then.
Yeah.
Because now we can feed the thing.
And maybe, party pulley. And maybe it doesn't make as much hot air when it's not trying to suck through a straw with your thumb over the end of it.
That's usually how that works, because you're pulling mixtures more, you know, good air coming in to do it. Same with turbos, you know. When they start to run out of turbo, they just beat the air up, you know.
Yeah, because before when we put that pulley on, it wasn't worth much. Maybe 20,
Right.
You know. It might be worth more now.
Yeah, and also we found out we were pulling timing up there, probably with the party pulley. So
Yep.
that was also not helping anything.
So that leaves me with several questions. Do we put the little headers back on, or do we go straight to the party pulley?
I almost want to try the party pulley first
Okay.
and just see what happens now, because you've got two big changes here that could very possibly, you know, help. And if the bigger headers are what it likes, then it'll like them even more with more, more power. So
All right. So party pulley.
party pulley first.
Okay. All right. I love this. This is my favorite part. I love when everyone around you is saying the same thing. Put the party pulley on. Usually everyone's like, no, Mike, no. Oh, cool. All right. That's an easy change. We can do that right now. Warm up the car. We have the party pulley on. Let's see if she'll make some beans. We've also taken the safety out of the ECU, where if our air inlet temp goes over, say 250, before it was pulling timing, now it's not going to do that. We have good racing E85 in the tank with 112 octane. This should make about 17 or 18 pounds of boost. This should put us over 1,000 with any luck. It was like it hit another gear.
10 shy, buddy, 10 shy.
Dude, that was weird. It felt like it spun the tires. Like at one point, it felt like it hit another gear.
Spun or slipped the clutch a little bit.
Okay, yeah, it all of a sudden it like was like, whoa, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
I hope that's the tires, not the clutch. My brand new clutch that I never broke in. Oh man. All right. So what did it make?
990.88.
Yeah, that ain't right. For having the party pulley on there with all the timing, it should have made more. It did feel like the car might have moved. Like I was like, whoa, and then it settled down. So maybe it was the tires. Maybe some sticky stuff. And so I have a new ritual after every dyno pull, which is happening outdoors right here. I like to go in the office and see how many lights we've shaken out of the ceiling. After you, sir? Oh yeah, they're all loose.
One.
The one above Pete's gonna fall.
That was just barely hanging there.
That is OSHA approved illumination.
Good stuff. Don't worry.
Yeah, Pete, your interior illumination game is on point. My goodness. Yeah, the bummer about that is we don't have a definitive answer of whether the party pulley actually works. It picked up a little bit, but probably, my gut tells me it was more except the tires or the clutch slip. I'm going to say it's the tires.
All right, so down at the bottom, we've got, say, 17. I think this is where we slip a tire a little bit and then grab it again.
Yeah.
And then up here, it drops to 16 and a half. It's kind of hanging out 16 and a half-ish.
And so spinning the tire in the middle of a dyno pull will slow the rate of acceleration on the dyno. Therefore, the dyno's going to say you're not making as much power.
Yeah, so what the dyno is going to do, it's going to go down here, and then when this grabs, it's going to go up and overshoot, and then it'll kind of...
It's kind of like starting the pull over again.
Right, you kind of, when you spin the tire, you store a little bit of inertia that it recovers when it grips again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Essentially, what a dyno is doing is measuring the amount of time it takes us to accelerate the roller, right? So it's work over time, and that's how you extrapolate horsepower and torque numbers. And so in the middle of our accelerating the drum under the back tires, the tires slipped, the drum slowed down, then the tires grabbed and the drum sped up. And so the end result is it says we made 990 horsepower, when really it probably made more than that. The thing I'm curious about is we made 3 or 4 more pounds of boost. Did the air go really hot now with this new injector throttle body? Because we could overlay this run with the old throttle body and the party pulley, and we could see, did it make more boost? Did it still make hot air?
Yeah, so, all right, well, the air is definitely hotter. At the end, we're 235, where before it was like a little less than 200.
Okay.
So we pull the other one in here.
Yeah, it's about 40 degrees cooler.
Yeah.
With slowing the blower down, less boost, cooler air.
Right.
Resulted in 980-ish at the tires. We made more boost, but the air was 40 degrees hotter. We did make 990 at the tires, so it made power, and it probably made more than that because the tires slipped.
Yeah, I have a feeling that,
it probably made
overall, it's
1,000.
probably in that game.
Yeah, it was probably
Not to
1,000.
mention at the racetrack. Well, it's hard to say because you probably had more, like at the shift, it probably has more torque there,
Mhm.
right? That could be good or bad
Right.
in the real world,
Yeah, and I'm only running this, when I see 7,000 on the dyno, I'm lifting and I'm getting to like 7,200. At the track, I shift at 75.
Right.
And the motor still seems to be on its way up at that
Still
point.
climbing,
I bet it's probably making every bit of 1,000 at the tires with this cooling.
Just like it is, yeah.
And we still haven't explored, are the big headers even doing anything? You know,
Yeah, that would be my next curiosity, just to see what that does.
We could put those on. The great thing about all this data is I now have so many questions that with enough time you could answer. Like we're targeting 6.5 to 1 air fuel on ethanol based fuel. Is that max power for this motor? I have no idea.
Yeah, well,
Pete has a pretty good idea because he does this.
It's honestly, it's probably fat.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I normally a lot of times I'll target 6.5 or so. Okay. But we're at 30 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, or more, right? So.
At the track.
It's probably really on the fat side. And we can pull some out and see what happens. You know?
If you look at the pass that we made at Drag Week last year, our one and only one, it's just huffing black smoke going down the track, even though it was running out of fuel pressure.
Right, yeah. Well, it's huffing a little bit on the dyno. You know?
Yeah, so I mean.
It's not terrible, but.
Right. Would you go 6.8, 7? Where would you send it?
Yeah, I would start off, I'd just make one at 6.8 and just see what it does. Because I'm fairly confident that it's fat. Okay. But I will say that with the qualification.
If it melts.
That Hemis are weird. Okay. Not so much in how what they demand, but in how the O2 sees it. Because they short circuit so much, and there's so much pulsing. Okay. And like every Hemi I've ever done, the O2 is funky. Right. You kind of got to take it with a grain of salt because, like, there's a lot of oxygen getting blown through there, and that can skew your results. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, because a Hemi, as opposed to like a wedge head, the exhaust valve and the intake valve, they're in line. They're direct, or the intake port and the exhaust port are directly in line, so the air can come in and go right back out.
It can literally blow straight out.
Right.
It's a double-edged sword. It's part of like why it makes a Hemi. Why Hemi is badass. Right. That's why they work so good with blowers. Right. But it's also why they're kind of have other issues, you know, with that. You know?
Right. Well,
so the question is, what do we do first? I kind of think.
You want to sticky stuff on the tires, trim the air fuel, and hit it one more? Yeah. Okay. I would love to see 1,000 at the tires.
Right. I'm thinking that I'm going to trim the fuel out to get it closer at that point. Maybe we'll go ahead and put it 6.8 and just see what happens. Yeah. You know. And I'm just going to barely miss the tires. Okay. I don't want to skew our results here. Like you can get them, especially with slicks. Right. You can probably get it where it hurts power. Because there's so much contact. Okay. It's not like a radial. Okay. You know what I mean? And it may not be the best, but got it. We'll just spritz it a little bit and see what happens. You know? All right. But let me adjust the fuel in a little bit.
I think we're about to make 1,000 at the tires. If it makes 1,000 at the tires, I feel like we could go to drag week and be competitive.
I'm actually okay with 999 too.
999 is a pretty good number. The number's won a lot, it's lost a lot. It's never boring.
No.
It'd be funny if it made 999.9. They did the same thing in the same spot, and I lifted a little bit earlier. It spun in the exact same spot. Blower might be warm. The blower could be warm. I don't know what we're targeting at idle, but it's like 8.5, 9 to 1 on the dash.
An idle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, you know.
Okay, I don't know what it is in there, but all right, so we just backed up our first pull and lost some power.
Yeah, so it's even hotter. 265 when you kick it, and then we're 242 when you let out.
Yeah. We probably need to let the blower cool off.
Right. And then the bigger thing is that we retuned it, but we didn't actually send it in to the computer.
Maybe that's just because that's the world telling us we didn't need to run that test.
Right, maybe so. It helps if you actually send it in.
Forgot to send the file to the ECU. But it is hotter. It got all the way to 265 air inlet temp. So it was another
On the blower?
Yeah, it was another 20 degrees hotter. It spun on the dyno again too.
It's funny how it
See
does
that
it right
bolt
there at
there?
that little
It's not as
spot.
bad as the last one.
Is that peak torque?
It's probably in there. I mean, that's what is 5,300. Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
where it's going to have some stomp right there.
All right. Well, we could let it cool off, eat lunch, and then put the old headers back on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll cool it off. I'd like to run that.
Oh,
test
run that
again,
test. Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean, because I don't know what that's until we get it right. We don't
Yeah.
know, you know. But we can do it after lunch. Just rip it and see what it does. You know?
Cool. I like it. More after we eat food. What?
1007.
Wow, and it's spun again.
Yeah.
All right, we are officially making 1,000 at the tires. So let's go screw it up by putting the small headers back on and see what it does. So it did it again. I just remembered something, Pete. Remember when the tire was rubbing on this side? We cranked the compression up on this side all the way up. And I wonder if that's causing this to spin over here. Maybe it's too stiff. And at lower power levels, it wasn't a problem. So I don't know. I'll go back under there and twist it. But it finally made 1,000 of the tires.
Right. At least you got a good drag week.
I guess I have to go to drag week now. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So I made that pull at 100 and it was like 125 degrees, 127 degrees. It was colder. But it felt good.
Yeah. Well, let's pull the data.
All right. So our base map is happy. Only 222 degrees. How accurate do you find the wheel speed on the dyno to be? Like, oh, maybe I'm phrasing this wrong. Am I wrong when I see out there 145 miles an hour at 7,200 RPM? Is that accurate? Because that tells me I have the wrong gear in the car for going down a drag strip.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's real accurate.
Okay, so
That's just a steel roller. It knows it's turning X amount.
okay.
If it says you're going 140, it's going 140.
Then I have the wrong gear in the back of the car.
Okay.
Which makes sense because I remember I swapped from the 5-speed to the 6-speed. Newbern bought the car here to you guys. I don't remember what happened, but you guys were like, we have to change the gears. And Biggin put a ring and pin in there. On mine, it was the only one he had, and I think it's a 430. And we used to run a 325 with the 5-speed.
Right.
And so 145 mile an hour is way too slow for, how quick I'm trying to go. The car would go 155 to 162
Right.
on an 850 pass.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to change the rear end gear.
Right. Yeah, and that can change. It's not supposed to, but it can change the numbers.
Right.
I remember years ago, Dynojet told me that. They told me that. They said it's not supposed to, but it kind of does.
Right.
It's been 20 years ago.
Well, we're within 20 of where you guys were last summer with this car.
Right.
With the bigger headers.
Bigger headers.
So we could put the small headers on because the gear hasn't changed since last summer. This is the gear that you guys stuck in it. So,
Yeah.
so we're close to where we used to be.
Okay. Well, let's just change headers and just see what that does. One
Okay.
way or the other,
And we could run those no bullhorns and put the bullhorns on and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like back to back and see if that does
And there's
anything.
a good chance that it may want to be considerably leaner than it is right now. So we got more to play with. But I would be curious just A to B, what do the headers do?
Okay. So leave the tune alone, change the headers.
Right.
I love this part. All right, let's go grab some hot headers. That's weird. It did it longer.
991.
It spun longer that time.
It came up on the tire. You can see it.
Huh. Yeah, it felt like it did it twice.
Yeah, you see the tire, it just went like that and then settled back down and hit it up again. Like it's free.
Yeah, like right at peak torque. Huh. So it made 991. So it lost like 9...
Another 7.5 horsepower, we get our number.
18. Yeah, and it doesn't happen immediately. It's like a second after I...
Check your tire pressure.
Yeah, they're both at 13. It happens like a second after I whack it. It does it.
Yeah, so it's using right only.
Yeah, we've always had a problem with the left in this car. And for the longest time, it never even read.
Right. Well, it's been reading all day.
The last time we were here, it was reading. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
all right, that's weird.
Because I remember the first couple times you were here, like it didn't work.
Yeah, didn't work at all. I've changed the sensor 3 times. Like, I think I changed the harness once.
I'm gonna unplug it, plug it back in again, see if that helps.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, because that, we're not even reading that one for the tune, right? The left
No,
one.
it's just for data only. It's operating exclusively off the right one. I don't think it changed much because like the correction and everything's very similar.
The only thing I noticed on that one was that the part where it seemed to spin the tire or whatever's happening there, it felt like it happened twice or or longer.
So, what do you say?
And it happens like right around peak torque.
Right. So it looks like it does a little something right here when you kick it, and then here it does it again. And it looks like it almost tried to do it again right there.
Right.
You know, just slightly. But
Which,
it's hard to know whether that's the tire or the clutch. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We had a drive shaft. Do you have a drive shaft sensor?
we do.
That looks to me like it's the clutch. You know what I'm saying? The drive shaft looks fairly steady. And the motor moves every time. What do you think?
You're probably right.
That's what that looks like. It's hard to know for sure, but like.
Yeah, and it started to happen once we started to make more power. It didn't do it early in the day.
Right, because here we're at,
Didn't do it, so we had what, 4 hits on the dyno, somewhere around there, 4 or 5 hits, and then it started doing it.
Yeah.
right, so we're at 44 and 45, so basically 100 RPM difference right there. Right here, we're at 48, 49 and 51.50, 250 RPM difference. And up here, we're back. Actually, I should be able to scale these the same. Let's do that.
Okay.
8,000. Okay. There you go. That looks like a clear
Yeah.
clutch slip
Yep.
and grab. To me.
Yeah, and when it does that, look what it does to the boost. If you look up the oil line.
Yeah.
Or is one happening before the other? It's making the boost, which makes it slip.
Yeah.
Well, if it's slipping, the engine RPM would go up, which is what it's doing, but the boost is going down.
Well, sometimes they'll do that because they'll kind of swallow the boost a little bit.
Okay.
Like turbo cars will really do it because when you let off the button on the trans brake, say you're leaving at 8 pounds, you let off the button, the motor goes to 55,
Right.
and the boost will go down until it recovers.
Because it's taking the air in.
Yeah, it's just sucking it in.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that. I've seen these do it a little bit, not like a turbo car,
Right.
but a little bit.
Well,
Everywhere else, it seems to be pretty close.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like there's one right there. It's the blue where the drive shaft
It's the
speed
little spot.
passes the engine RPM.
Yeah.
That would be the tires slipping.
Yeah, and also I have a little bit of smoothing on here. The trend is the same. You know.
So that's 59, 58, 57, 59. I don't think there's anything wrong with the clutch.
No, that just may be just how it is there.
Yeah.
And that's at an RPM that you may not see except for low gear.
Right.
Because this is a diaphragm here. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, the only issue with it doing that is the way I've been driving the car to save the transmission is I don't clutch after first gear. I just burp the throttle and grab the next gear. The problem is the engine RPM falls so fast. Like it'll drop down to 5 grand and then take off again. So if it is going to slip at peak torque, I'm in danger of getting it there. Unless we start setting the car up where I don't lift off the throttle, I don't lift off the clutch, and I bump it into a rev limiter or something and just let it pull into the next gear on its own.
That would be the best way to do it.
It would be faster.
Yeah, I'm sure it would probably be a bit faster.
Yeah, I've never done it, but we need some time at the track to set that up.
Yeah. I've never done it either because I don't do a whole lot of stick cars, but I know that all the stick guys, that's how they do it.
That's all, yeah. Guy from Tick Performance, that grub worm car, that's how he drives it.
Yeah.
Leroy, that's how Leroy goes down the track. Like everyone's doing it.
And it works really well.
Yeah. The few times I've tried to stab the clutch,
Yeah.
when it came back out, it drove right through the clutch, hit the rev limiter, blew the burst panel out.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so-
It's probably way better for everything you do with that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll put the bullhorns on, see if it does anything.
See if it does anything.
Yeah. Because I'd rather leave the little headers back on if we can, just because I have side pipes for them already.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, evidently it's not very much. So.
No, that was 990 versus 707, so it's 17 horsepower.
Right.
It's, you know, I'm greedy. I'd like to have that back, but if we can get close, cool.
Right.
All right. Put
What
bullhorns
I
on.
wish we had is these headers with bigger collectors on them.
Yeah, I was looking, when I was disassembling them today, I was like, the thing I would have liked to have done was gone right in the middle. Same primary tubes, but with a 4-inch collector.
Right. But I think these primaries are fine.
Right.
If there's a restriction, it's the collector.
Yeah. I could get a set of collectors before it's ready. I don't know how badly that would screw up our tune. If it makes 990 or 1,000 of the tire, it should be quick enough to go 850.
What you need to do.
Yeah.
Especially if you get it shipping like you're talking about,
Yeah.
you're going to key it to it.
There's 2 tents sitting there
Right.
at least.
Yeah.
You know, I got to shift it 4 times, so.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a big deal. You know.
All right. Bullhorns it is. Misfired at part throttle,
I could hear it like kind of missing, yeah.
but it didn't do the hiccup thing nearly as bad.
Wait, 1 more horsepower.
What was that? Picked up a little bit.
1.5 more.
Yeah, we were nearly.
Come on, 1.5 more. We'll hit that 999 number.
We're almost there. We just made a pull with the bullhorns attached. Now we're making another pull with the bullhorns attached on the small headers, but this time we changed the ignition coil and leaned the fueling of the EFI system out. So here we go. I lifted a little early.
Only went 899.
Oh, that ain't good. I lifted probably at 6,900, but and that run started at 150 degrees. That's quite a change. Just lost 100 horsepower.
Lost 100 horsepower.
Yeah, we just lost 100 horsepower.
Everything's hot.
Well, it started the run at 150, so that 10 degrees hotter than I have been. And I lifted, I think it's 6,900, maybe 7,000, but still, it's worth looking at the data. Maybe it didn't like being lean.
That's almost like it dropped the hole.
Yeah, 100 is a lot.
That's a lot. Do we know which O2 we're using? Don't we have it switched one time or something?
I thought this was the one that. Shit, I can't remember anymore. We'd have.
The reason I say that is because this one's in the collector, that one's in a primary.
Yeah.
You know, which can change everything, especially when you start doing like cylinder.
Right. Well, when we made the switch from the headers, we lost 16. Like, it wasn't a dramatic difference, but yeah, I mean, maybe. How would we figure out which one is which?
Just
disconnect one of them.
See which one it's running off of.
Okay.
We'll look at the data first. Just see something stupid. You know?
Okay. So here's the deal. This is our second go round on the dyno here with Blasphemi, and we've made some improvements. We made over 1,000 wheel horsepower, which is great, but it's not exactly where we want to be with it. And although it's not broken, we feel like maybe there's some gains to be had in the camshaft. Maybe it needs some more compression. I'm not even sure what the compression ratio is on this, but we decided rather than be satisfied with 1,000, we're gonna pull it back out, take it apart, look inside, see what can we improve, then throw it back together, tune it again on the dyno, and then we'll be ready for some sort of drag and drive event in the future. And hopefully not just, rushing into that at the last minute like we usually do. So motor's gonna come out, it's gonna go inside Pete's shop. Pete's gonna rip it apart, see what we can make better, and then we'll do this again. Pete's got an A-frame now, so this is gonna be great.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. All right, so we just need to attach it and then undo the motor plate bolts, and it's ready to come out.
I feel like we're going home empty-handed.
Something missing, guys.
The second exit.
Okay.
Seriously, don't fuel around.
Say don't fuel around.
Don't feel around. Remember, take the second exit.
Oh my God.
In the roundabout.
GPS has dad jokes.